Hi, this is Joe from Joe's Tech Bits. Did you ever try and run a Linux distro from a flash drive or in a virtual box? It's a little tough because you don't, especially in a flash drive, it's hard to save your work. And the same with a virtual, you can do it that way. But I'd like to show you my experience of setting up a Linux distribution, specifically Kubuntu, which includes the Plasma KDE desktop. And I'd like to show you how I set it up on a second hard drive and a second partition within that hard drive. So this is my experience, and if you have any comments how you did it, you can also comment in the comment section. But this is the way I did it, and here we go. I've looked at a lot of Linux distributions, and I'm running several servers with either Ubuntu server or Raspberry Pi OS or maybe Linux Mint. Also have several distributions set up on a Ventoy USB flash drive. But one thing that really caught my eye lately is the KDE Plasma desktop. And the KDE is a beautiful desktop that's very easy and simple to use, and it comes with the Kubuntu distribution. Kubuntu is a variation of Ubuntu, which has the KDE desktop Plasma included. So you say, what's Kubuntu? Kubuntu. The latest is the 24.04 LTS version. LTS version stands for long-term support. So I usually like to run the LTS versions because you don't have to worry about having to upgrade frequently. You can get a nice stable version running, and you don't have to do a whole lot with it except update occasionally, but you don't have to update the whole version. But Kubuntu is an excellent distro, and you can see here Ubuntu is based on Debian, and of course Kubuntu is based on Ubuntu. Now if we look here at the feature tour, we can see some of the highlights of what is included in Kubuntu. Right off the bat, you see it has Firefox browser, which is very good. That's included. It's got a file system and a file browser. Well, let me go through this. Browse your files easily. Browse images. Open and read documents easily. And surf the internet with Firefox. Chat right from the desktop with your friends. Multimedia made easy with Kubuntu. And you can see VLC media player is included. VLC is popular because it can play just about any kind of video format that's out there. It's hard to find one that can't play on VLC with the VLC player. Music's experienced on a different level. Now it looks like you have a lot of different radio stations with genres of all kinds. Got jazz, nostalgia, 70s, probably anything you can think of. You can find a radio station that will play that music. And it's all included. And it includes the LibreOffice suite, which is I would say it's a clone of Microsoft Office. And as far as the spreadsheet and these writer program, which is a clone of Word, you can actually get a Microsoft Word document and open it in LibreOffice Writer, or the same with Excel spreadsheets. And it's a very versatile program, and it doesn't cost anything. Now if we go over to KDE, which the KDE Plasma Desktop is included with the Kubuntu distribution. And it's a beautiful desktop. I have it installed on my one laptop, and I tried it on several others, and it's really nice. If anybody's going to dump Windows 10 when it goes out of service this year, I would say this would be a great distribution to put on a system or a laptop. And it's very simple to use, very easy. See, it's got a launcher, a system tray, notifications. And what I like about it is very easy. It's got a lot of software included, and it's very easy to put the ones that you like to use a lot on the desktop. There's a setting that just says add to desktop, and you just click that and it goes to the desktop. Powerful when needed. And it's very customizable. I have yet to get into a lot of that yet because, like I said, I've recently discovered this and haven't got into the customization of it very much, but I will. If need be, I'll do a video on that. KDE Connect. You can send your vacation pictures, see what music is currently playing on your computer. All these from your Android device. Well, I have iOS, so I'm not sure about that. We'll have to check into that some more. But this is what I'm going to install side by side with Windows 10 on my, or maybe I have Windows 11 on my one laptop. I think I do. So how about we go back here and we go to download, and I'm going to download the 64-bit Kubuntu 24.10. And we'll put it in my download folder. And we'll see here. We'll see here that it's downloading. Actually, it downloaded already. and it is an ISO file. So keep that in mind. We're downloading an image file called an ISO file that we will now put on, we'll flash it to a USB drive, and with that USB drive, we'll use that to install it on our Windows laptop alongside of Windows. That way we can have a choice of running either Windows or Kubuntu. So let's go do that. It looks like, since it's a pretty good big ISO file, it looks like it's going to take a little while. You can see it's just starting to download here, and I don't want to keep you, it says 2 hours left. I don't want to keep you for 2 hours, so I will pause the video and we'll come back when it gets finished downloading. Well, we finally finished the download. 24.10 desktop ISO. And what the ISO is, it's an image of Kubuntu with everything that's needed. We're all wrapped up in one file. And if we look here where it downloaded, we can see here it is, 2410, and it's 4.5 gigabytes. So that's why it took quite a while to download. So next, what I will do is show you how we'll flash this ISO image over to a USB flash drive and then use that to install Kubuntu alongside of Windows 10 or maybe Windows 11 on one of my laptops. So that'll be in the next video. Now that I've downloaded the ISO image for Kubuntu, and don't forget, you can get any Linux distribution you'd like. Doesn't matter. Most of them will install alongside Windows, but I like Kubuntu, as I mentioned, because it has the KDE Plasma desktop, which is very nice. But as you can see here, that was downloaded, and I decided I wanted to show you this Balena Etcher. That's a real easy way to flash a flash drive, and it's real quick, and you can download it for free. But what I noticed is my version I had on this computer was 1.5 something, and I realized there was a new version, so I downloaded that and installed it. So I'll show you that. What they did, they added some things. This was here, but they added flash from URL and clone drive. So there's more function to the newer version. So what I'd like to do then is take that ISO image of Kubuntu. I clicked, as you can see, on Flash from File, and it brought up my directory where Kubuntu is. And you can see I have two different versions, but I downloaded them twice, so both versions are the same. So I'll pick this version here and say Open. And now it goes over to the center. Select the target. So you have to select the letter name of your flash drive that you're going to put the ISO image on. So just to make sure, we can look here and see it looks like this is the drive, because I'm going to overwrite this. Remember, anything you have on that drive is going to be overwritten. And if you select the wrong drive, so say I select this drive or this drive, that will be overwritten. It will give you a warning, but it'll still overwrite it once you say yes, go ahead. So it looks like the letter F is my drive. So we'll look for F, and it picked up the F drive here. And it's nice because, see, this is a 2 terabyte drive. So we know that's not the drive. We know this is the drive we want to go to. So we'll select that, and we'll go here, and we'll say flash. And you can see it's running here, it's starting. It's already up to 4 or 5%. It goes pretty quickly. So we will just watch it. I'll just leave it run because it won't take that long, and you can see the whole process, what happens. You can see up here it shows that that ISO file is 4.68 gigabytes. So it's a pretty big file. And here it says SD card. Well, instead of using a flash drive, I'm using a card reader with a micro SD card, which works just as well. I just happen to have the extra SD card that I could put it on right now. And the nice thing about this is when it gets finished flashing, it will do a verify and just make sure everything got copied correctly. It's getting there. While that's doing that, you can give me a like on this video. Be appreciated, but I don't have 1 million likes and views like some people, some YouTubers out there, but I basically just do this for the fun of doing it. I'm not looking to make any money or anything on it, so, but likes are appreciated. And there it goes, it's validating. You can see that goes through a lot quicker. And if you wanted to skip the validation, you could, if there's a button there to click. But I think it's good to validate it just to make sure it copied correctly. Now, at the end, it's going to ask me to format the disk because it's the image that was flashed there isn't a Windows image. It's a pretty much a Linux image. So you don't want to format the disk or do any of this. Just cancel all this out. And when you finish canceling, this is finished. You can click that off and see if we still have that mounted. Here it is right here, so we'll eject that. Make sure it's ejected. It is. And we'll just pull the flash drive out, or actually the card reader with the SD card, which is what I'm using, and we'll go to the next step. I'm starting the laptop and hitting F12 for the boot menu. There it is. And now you can see here we can either continue booting from Windows. There's several other options, but I want to boot from the USB device. Happens to be that we have a card reader in there on SD card. You could use a flash drive also. So we'll hit that. And what it'll do, it'll bring us up into another menu. And again, you can have several different choices here. But what we want to do is go into the Kubuntu try or install menu. And we'll hit that. And what this will do is it's going to take us into another kind of menu that'll ask us, do we want to install it, or do we want to just try it? Now, one problem I have on here when it comes up, I'm used to tapping the keyboard and taking it as a click, but this doesn't work when I tap it. I have to actually press the touchpad to get to the next level. So what I'll immediately do is, when it comes up, I'll go to the settings and set it up so that I can click to use the touchpad. Let's leave that up, see if we can get to the settings. We'll go to the system settings. Here's settings. And again, I have to press my touchpad to get there. And we'll go up to mouse and touchpad. And we'll go to the touchpad. Not all the distros do this. Some will automatically let you click. But this one you have to go in and select that, tap to click. I guess some people don't like to use the tap to click method, but it's so much quicker, I think. Now I can just tap. And now you can see we can go through each selection here. Again, we're only in the live system, which is not affecting the hard drive or anything on this laptop. It's just running off the flash drive. So there's a bunch of items here you can go through and read them at your leisure. And it show you different choices and features and apps. And now we have a screen, the desktop screen. And if you notice up here, there's an icon where we can actually install this on the computer. So let's see what we can do. Let's click it, double click, actually, and we come up to our first screen here. Oh, and it says this system is not plugged into a power source. So that was my mistake, and it's not connected to the internet. Well, that's another mistake. So what I will do is stop the video right here, plug it in and then I'll restart the video. I restarted this because of getting the message saying we have to have power connected. So we'll just restart it again. And we'll say try or install Kubuntu. The K in front specifies that it's got the KDE Plasma desktop installed, which is a very nice desktop. Here's what we missed the first time. I was in a hurry to get the click set up on the touchpad that I didn't even think about the Wi-Fi. So let's see where we can connect. Let's connect to this one here. Okay, we're connected to a router here, and we'll try Kubuntu. Here goes Kubuntu. If you look sideways, once we get into the Kubuntu Live, we can look at some of the screens here and see what's going on. There's a lot of features that you can check out, but we're going to go into the install setting here. And we're going to install Kubuntu 24.10, do it next. We're picking English here. We'll pick New York for the time zone. And then we'll pick the US keyboard. Now here's a couple of different things different options you can do. Installation mode. You can do a full installation or a normal installation. I chose to do the normal installation, and you have to click on the optional buttons down below if you want them. And they're basically like third-party things that will get installed. And as long as you have the internet connected, they should get installed in the installation. And here's the screen that lets you set up how to install this alongside of Windows. And you see I'm clicking on two hard drives, or actually two drives. There's an SSD, there's an SD drive installed on this computer, and I don't want to put it on the C drive. I'd like to have it on the second SD card drive, which is just an SD card in the slot. I'd like to have it on there, so if at some point if I want to change my mind and delete Kubuntu, I don't have to play around with the C drive. I can still run Windows without any problem. So one way to do it is if you have a partition set up on your second drive, your SD card, you can select to replace a partition with Kubuntu. And you can have one or two partitions, just pick one of them. That's one way to do it. The other way to do it is to go over to your second drive and select install alongside. But when you do the partition, what it'll do, it will have you set up and click on the partition, and it'll break it into a separate partition. But if you do a install alongside, then you can click on the partition, make sure you're on the right SD card, because like I said, I didn't want it on my C drive. So we click on the partition, and you see it'll put one side there, the blue side for Windows. It'll give you a place to put some data, and the red side will be where Kubuntu will be installed. So you just click Next. Then the final thing before it starts installing, you have to select a name and password. And then once you do that, when you do the password, I like to click the log in automatically checkbox, just to make sure I don't have to put the password in every time, since it's going to be in my hands, the laptop, and I don't have to worry about other people getting it or using it, so that would be fine. So what I will do is just finish up putting the password in, make sure you get the green check mark, hit Next, and it should go off and start installing. Once it starts installing, you'll see a series of informational displays, and you'll see a progress bar at the bottom. It takes quite a while to install, so I'm not going to run the whole installation here. At the end of the installation, it will tell you it's finished, and it'll tell you to restart. So that's not something I need to show you, but I had to use two ways to capture the screens here, because I wanted to show you the boot manager and the boot setup and things like that. For some reason, I couldn't do that with my screen capture software. So I had to use a camera, and in certain other cases, I just used the camera since I had it set up. So hopefully the camera, you can see it's not quite the same quality as the direct screen capture, but hopefully it'll give you the idea of how my experience went. Now, what I did, I had actually two laptops. One was a smaller Pentium-based laptop, which is the Lenovo, and then I have a Dell, which is a Verizon-based laptop. So even though I did some of the filming on the Lenovo, I ended up with the Dell in the final installation, because I actually had two SSDs on there, M2 NVMe SSDs on the Dell, and I had a lot more space to work with than on the smaller Lenovo. Also, I wanted to show you, after this section here, I wanted to show you how I had the Dell set up and partitioned ahead of time. So I could have done a partition replacement, but I actually did a partition install alongside on the Dell. So hopefully you got some good information out of this, And next I'll show you how I set up my the Dell before I show you the final setup. I wanted to show you how I had my Dell laptop set up using Mini Partition Wizard. You can see I have two 1 terabyte drives. They're both SSDs, so it's a lot easier with more space. And you can see I have the Ubuntu partition right there on the right, and on the left I have the area I can use for data. Now right here is a C drive, and you can see both drives are GPT formatted, so it's a lot easier probably on that drive, on those drives, than on my other laptop I had, but it worked both on both laptops. Once you have it installed, there are several different ways to access it. The installation we just did will put something called a Grub Boot Manager, which is a Linux boot manager, on, and you can see right here you can pick several options from that Grub Boot Manager. One of them is the Windows Boot Manager. So if you want to go back to Windows, but this is what will come up, and by default Kubuntu is at the top, and it will install or run actually Kubuntu, and it will just go right to Kubuntu, and there's no choice, there's no selection unless you catch that menu in the beginning and select the Windows Boot Manager. But you can see here it's just installing and going into Kubuntu. You can set it up so that instead of the Grub Boot Manager being first on the bootloader list, you can put the Windows Boot Manager first, but then you'd have to select the Grub Boot Manager by booting up and selecting your boot options, and then selecting that, which I'll show you here. As you can see, automatically we didn't have to choose anything. Kubuntu is default in this situation. Now we'll shut down Kubuntu, and we'll show how to start it up differently. This time, instead of taking the default at the top, I'm going down to the Windows Boot Manager, which is like the fourth item down. We'll select that, and now you can see we'll be going right into Windows. And there's somebody eating a Philly hoagie. Actually, it's a Lee's hoagie from Lee's Hoagie Shop, long time ago. And there we are, up to the Windows desktop. We'll do a shutdown and show another option. This time we'll go to the BIOS settings, and we'll go into the boot section. And you can see, oh, I passed it. Back one. You can see Secure Boot is disabled. And that's a suggestion that they always tell you for installing this dual boot. Disable secure boot. But here's my boot options, and you can see I'm moving Ubuntu down to the second spot and Windows Boot Manager at the top. We'll save that on exit. Now with the Windows Boot Manager at the top, it'll default to that and automatically start up Windows. As you can see right here. There's somebody eating another hoagie. Boy, those hoagies were good. And there we are up to our Windows desktop. Now, if we really wanted to get to Ubuntu, what we have to do once we shut down is on this laptop we hit F12 for the boot options. And you can see under the boot options we have Ubuntu is the second one down because we changed it in the BIOS. So this way it doesn't start automatically, but we can bring it up in the boot menu and start it that way. Not sure what's easier. Probably if you don't use Ubuntu that often. Oh, and you can see here it brings up the Grub Boot Manager. And you could still go back to Windows there, but no point if you're wanting to go to Ubuntu. So if you don't use Ubuntu that often, it's probably better to do it this way. Have it second in your boot options rather than first. Or if you're going to jump between the two, put Ubuntu first and the Grub Boot Manager, and then you can still select Windows from there. But the only problem is you have to make a selection one way or the other. If you have Windows at the top and you go to Windows a lot, it'll go to Windows automatically. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. And here we are. Kubuntu is coming up. I think I keep saying Ubuntu, but it's actually Kubuntu. So this was selected from the boot menu. It was the second one down. We clicked on it. So there's different ways we can set it up. I think that about covered all the ways I have it set up. There we are, right to Kubuntu. Thanks for watching this video. I really wanted to show how to install a dual boot Linux, but not put it on the C drive, because in making this video I found I can delete the installation off the second drive and totally go back to a Windows system, because I had to do it several times to get this right. Took a lot of pieces, it seemed like, to make this video, between all the different tries to install it and the two laptops I was working with the camera. I really don't like the camera, doing it with the camera, but on my system I couldn't get the boot loader or the boot menu to come up on my screen sharing program, which is OBS. And I know other people have done it. I think it's up to the BIOS to let you do that. In any case, thanks for watching the video. I hope you watch some more of my videos or some of my older ones. And it's really been fun making this. And like I said, if you like, please like and subscribe. And please put any comments you might have. I never get enough comments. Even if you have constructive criticisms, I could use all the comments I can get. So thanks again, and we'll see you soon. Bye.